Welcome to UXL, where you can learn new skills anytime and anywhere. Visit uxl.com to explore our full course selection. This lesson is part of a larger course. Check the video description below for a link to the full course where you can enroll. If you enjoy our content, please like and subscribe. For your convenience, the course cover displayed on your screen provides the complete course title and lesson title. Let's proceed with the lesson. Lesson: Evaluating Risk Before Authorization. Evaluating risk before authorization is a crucial step in the governance, risk, and compliance certification process, particularly when it comes to the authorization of information systems. This process ensures that all potential risks are identified, assessed, and mitigated before granting access to sensitive systems and data. The importance of this step cannot be overstated, as it forms the foundation of a secure and compliant information environment. To begin with, the evaluation of risk involves identifying potential threats and vulnerabilities that could impact the information system. This process requires a thorough understanding of the system's architecture, functionality, and the data it processes. Threats can come from various sources, including cyber attacks, insider threats, and physical breaches. Vulnerabilities, on the other hand, are weaknesses in the system that could be exploited by these threats. For example, outdated software, weak passwords, and unpatched security flaws are common vulnerabilities that need to be addressed before authorization. Once threats and vulnerabilities have been identified, the next step is to assess the potential impact of these risks. This involves evaluating the likelihood of a threat exploiting a vulnerability and the potential consequences of such an event. This assessment can be quantitative, using statistical methods to calculate the probability and impact, or qualitative, relying on expert judgment and experience. For instance, a quantitative assessment might use historical data on cyber attacks to estimate the likelihood of a breach, while a qualitative assessment might involve interviews with IT security experts to gauge the potential impact. Risk assessment is not a one-time activity, but an ongoing process that should be integrated into the organization's overall risk management strategy. Continuous monitoring and updating of risk assessments are essential to account for new threats and vulnerabilities as they emerge. This dynamic approach ensures that the organization remains vigilant and prepared to respond to evolving risks. For example, the rise of sophisticated phishing attacks and ransomware requires continuous updates to risk assessments and mitigation strategies to protect against these emerging threats. One effective method for evaluating risk before authorization is the use of risk matrices. A risk matrix is a tool that helps visualize and prioritize risks based on their likelihood and impact. By plotting risks on a matrix, organizations can easily identify which risks require immediate attention and which can be monitored over time. For example, a risk with a high likelihood and high impact would be placed in the top right quadrant of the matrix, indicating that it needs urgent mitigation measures. In addition to risk matrices, other tools and methodologies can be used to evaluate risk. These include threat modeling, vulnerability assessments, and penetration testing. Threat modeling involves creating a detailed representation of the system and identifying potential attack vectors. Vulnerability assessments scan the system for known weaknesses, while penetration testing simulates real-world attacks to identify exploitable vulnerabilities. Each of these methods provides valuable insights into the system's security posture and helps inform the authorization decision. Once the risks have been evaluated, the organization must decide on the appropriate risk response. There are 4 main risk response strategies: accept, mitigate, transfer, and avoid. Accepting the risk means acknowledging it and deciding that no further action is needed. Mitigating the risk involves implementing controls to reduce its likelihood or impact. Transferring the risk shifts the responsibility to a third party, such as through insurance. Avoiding the risk means altering the system or process to eliminate the risk altogether. The choice of risk response depends on the organization's risk tolerance and the cost-effectiveness of the available options. For example, if a vulnerability is identified in a critical system component, the organization might choose to mitigate the risk by applying a security patch or implementing additional access controls. If the risk is deemed acceptable, the organization might decide to monitor it closely and take no further action. In some cases, transferring the risk through cyber insurance might be the most cost-effective option. Alternatively, if the risk is too high and cannot be mitigated effectively, the organization might choose to avoid it by redesigning the system or discontinuing the use of the vulnerable component. It is essential to document the entire risk evaluation process, including the identified risks, assessment methods, and chosen risk responses. This documentation provides a clear record of the organization's risk management activities and supports transparency and accountability. It also serves as a valuable reference for future risk assessments and audits. For instance, detailed documentation can help identify trends in risk patterns and inform the development of more effective risk mitigation strategies. The final step in the risk evaluation process is obtaining authorization from the appropriate decision makers. Authorization is the formal approval to operate the information system, granted after a thorough review of the risk assessment and mitigation measures. This decision should be based on a comprehensive understanding of the system's security posture and the residual risks that remain after mitigation efforts. The authorizing official must weigh the potential benefits of the system against the risks and determine if the system can operate within the organization's risk tolerance. For example, a government agency might require authorization from a senior executive or a security committee before deploying a new information system. This authorization process ensures that all relevant stakeholders are aware of the risks and have confidence in the system's security measures. It also provides a formal mechanism for accountability, as the authorizing official is responsible for the decision to operate the system. In conclusion, evaluating risk before authorization is a critical component of the GRC certification process. It ensures that potential threats and vulnerabilities are identified, assessed, and mitigated before granting access to information systems. This process involves continuous monitoring, the use of tools and methodologies such as risk matrices and threat modeling, and the careful consideration of risk response strategies. By thoroughly evaluating risks and obtaining formal authorization, organizations can protect their information systems and maintain compliance with regulatory requirements. The importance of this process cannot be overstated, as it forms the foundation of a secure and compliant information environment. This concludes the lesson. We trust you found this video informative and engaging. To enroll in the complete course, please use the link provided in the description below. At UExcel, we are committed to your learning journey. Each course offers a certificate of completion, online support, and downloadable resource files to enhance your experience. If you found our content valuable, we invite you to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to supporting your continued pursuit of knowledge.